white supremacist rhetoric. Like, these people really think assimilate is like a form of white supremacy. Like, peace times has really made us all retarded right now. It's made America so fucking retarded, bro. Since World War II, when we after a little bit afterwards, when we won the war and then went into the Cold War, you know, those were some of the most, I say, masculine years in America when men were in charge. Women weren't hardly working. They were doing what they were supposed to do. And now, since then, we've gone from letting in so many immigrants, women being attending college at a high rate, soy boys on the rise. We're prioritizing trash cultures over above else instead of prioritizing the safety in the safety of Americans, and prioritize the growth of America. And bringing in a bunch of immigrants is definitely not leading to the growth of America. It's actually leading to the destruction of America. You know, there's nothing more dangerous than liberals, communists, and socialists that come here and think that we can just change our system that works for us, the free market, capitalism, and just turn it into a communist country like China and think that we would be prosperous afterwards. I don't see that. No. People like Eon Omar wants to probably turn this into like Somalia, a wasteland, quite frankly. You know, so much pillaging, so much plundering, so much robbing, so much stealing, so much chopping people's heads off and put them on spikes. All that stuff happens in Somalia because they have so much low IQ and they're savages there. So it's no surprise they come here and then they don't want to assimilate and they just want to commit fraud and just steal from us. But don't worry, but you got your leader, which is pathetic. It's a woman in position sitting up here saying that it's not all the Somalian communities. Don't give them collective punishment. Don't look at all the Somalis and sit here and say that it's all their fault. In realities, to me, it looks like it is majority at fault for this. I'm not going to sit here and just say it's not all Somalians, but it's probably the staggering majority. And who's to say it's not all anyways? You know, this case is still going on right now. Who's to say this is just all of them? There's probably way more involved in this scheme. And who's to say that they were not taking care of all the Somalian community only and leaving out just Americans that weren't getting the basic needs that they require. This could have helped a lot of Americans out that needed food, needed health care. Not the scam, of course, but what the messages of this organization was supposed to be. It was supposed to help the community, but instead it was stealing from it to fund a one singular community. And now you got these politicians got to sit up here. These cocksuckers are trying to sit up here and try to say, oh, it's not even that. It's not all of us. This could have really benefited the Somalian community, if anything. It probably already was benefited the Somalian community. So I don't believe Eon Omar, quite frankly. I mean, like, hey, I'm pretty sure Americans are pretty much done with Somalians. We just want them to go home at this point. It's time for them to return home. It's time for them to go get on their pirate ships, and it's time to go set sails on the sea and go look for the One Piece or something. It's time to go home.
In Germany. And, you know, as we know, there have been many immigrants who've tried to come to the United States who've turned back, one of them being Jewish immigrants. We know the way that people were described who were coming from Ireland, Irish immigrants. We know the way in which people were described back then when they were Italian immigrants. And to me, you know, we're yes, of course, ethnically Somali. We are in this country as Americans. Yeah. We are citizens. We are productive part of this nation.
They're foreign invaders. Sitting here and saying that you're productive, sitting here saying you're American citizens, assimilating is not being an American citizen. You're just being here. You're just a refugee, a foreign national, an invader. So let's go on back on to my notes right here. Let me pull them up. All right. So this is from Fox News. Political scrutiny and fraud scale. Lawmakers have called the fraud a complex, stacked operation with estimates tied to nearly $1 billion in public benefits fraud involving Minnesota's Somali population. Public officials are criticizing Democrats for oversight failures. Now, this is from Newsweek and other outlets. National reporting and expanding on the background of fraud tied to COVID-era federal funds, especially the nonprofit Feeding Our Future, which claimed to feed children but allegedly misused federal money for other purposes. The story has gained political traction and national attention. So let's go down right here. So the Feeding Our Future case, okay? So these are key facts about the Feeding Our Future case. One of the largest COVID era federal nutrition fraud cases in U.S. history. Hundreds of millions were claimed in federal reimbursement for meals that were allegedly not delivered. Excuse me. Dozens of defendants have been charged. Many have pleaded guilty or been convicted. Broader benefit fraud investigations. Federal prosecutions include multiple schemes, nutrition, housing, Medicaid, autism services, and other social services. Numbers involved. Reports cite 78 charged, 59 convicted so far in overall probe. That is, wow, that's a lot. A lot were already, so you got 78 that were charged and 59 already convicted. So that means we still have more that are still waiting to see what their fates are, but it's clear that almost every one of them is going to be charged. I think one got his charges overturned so far, which is kind of insane. Looking at the scope of this case, they all should have been criminally charged and found guilty. But I digress. So as my notes go on, total estimated fraud across schemes have been described in political commentary as approaching or exceeding $1 billion. Figure contested. That's what Fox News. Allegations of terrorism links. All right, so this right here goes over the alleged terrorist links that are tied to this big fraud scheme. Some commentators and federal investigators have alarms about alleged misuse of fraud proceeds internationally, but no terrorism charges have been filed and no proven direct connection yet publicly confirmed. All right. Some online claims overseas terrorism funding are unproven as of the latest reporting and should not be treated as verified facts. That's from Associated Press News. Okay. All right. So now we are going to go over into the timeline of the Minnesota welfare Feeding Our Future fraud cases. So we're going to go over the arrest timelines of everything that's happened since 2019 to 2025. So 2019 to 2021 are the administrative actions and investigations. So pre-2020, Feeding Our Future begins operating, as a sponsor of federal child nutrition program sites in Minnesota, including bogus meal sites. So spring 2021, Minnesota Department of Education refers suspected fraud by Feeding Our Future to the FBI, triggering a federal investigation. That's from PolitiFact. February 2022, federal agents conduct raids across Minnesota as part of the ongoing fraud probe. All right, so now we are moving on to 2022. Major federal charges. September 10th, 2022, 47 defendants charged. Prosecutors unsealed indictments charging 47 individuals with fraud in the Feeding Our Future scheme. Excuse me. 30 plus counts alleging false meal claims to defraud federal nutrition funds. That's from Reddit. Charges include wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. That's also from Reddit. 2023, guilty pleas in Feeding Our Future. December 14, 2023, guilty plea. So, all right, and the one that was found, one of the perpetrators that pled guilty was named Ahmed Sharif Omar Hashim. Pleads guilty in U.S. District Court to wire fraud tied to feeding program false claims, admitting to defrauding the child nutrition program of more than $7 million. That's from the Department of Justice.